Okay, welcome back for our first match with Delver Skred. We're going to keep. This hand's really good. It's got a turn 1 Fairy Miscreant into a turn 2 Augur of Bolas. It's got pretty much perfect mana. It also has a Bullshock Morningstar in it. Oh, well, now we get a Delver. And we're up against Tortured Existence. Oh, God. And I only have one Relic of Progenitus. Well, this is going to be really long and really difficult. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright, well. Not going to play the mountain yet. I don't think my opponent needs to know exactly what I'm on. Alright, well, we got a choice of Lightning Bolt, Delver. Kind of sucks we lost the Delver, but oh well. The cool thing is, with Volshock Morningstar, I can win with almost any one creature. So, ooh, that's interesting. Northern Land, huh? Alright, let's go ahead and attack. And then I think I'm just going to lay the Fairy Miscreant and the Volshock Morningstar. Basically, I want to get out all my sorcery stuff while I'm not under too much pressure. Because the great thing about this is now I can just, when I get enough mana, I can equip a Volshock Morningstar to one of these two creatures and I should be able to just win the game. Skred's really good here. I'm not going to equip the Volshock Morningstar though. I am, however, going to Ponder. And I think it's... Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to keep all three of these. I think it's always better to Ponder before Preordain, just in case you want to keep like one card or two cards, and then you want to push one of them to the bottom. It's always better to be able to look at the top card. So I'm not going to equip the Volshock Morningstar here. I just want to be able to counter almost everything my opponent has. What really sucks is I'm not going to have a fourth land anytime soon, but I think that's offset by the fact that I am not under much pressure. I have pretty much anything that I want. Now this is the thing. I mean, my opponent's gonna have a very hard time coming back from this. Even if they had a decent draw, like they weren't stuck on two lands or anything. I don't know if this is mono black or not sure. Well, I can't counter that with Spellster Sprite, so I'm just gonna go ahead and Lightning Bolt. Sorry, not Lightning Bolt. Skred it. And now, I could play a Spellstar Sprite at the end of turn. I think that's what I want to do. The reason why is I want to be able to kill my opponent a bit quicker. And also, if my opponent's plan is return the Stinkweed Imp, I want to be able to counter with Spellstar Sprite for 3 and not only 2. One thing you do have to look out for with these types of decks is Spore Frog. Cryptorats. Yep, that's definitely something that I want to watch out for. Gonna go ahead and Spellstar Sprite. I'm not gonna Lightning Bolt, so I just tapped the red there in case my opponent went like Swamp Instant. That's really the reason I did that. Alright, well, let's go ahead. Well, actually, I don't really need to preordain here, because I can just attack for 4. And now my opponent is dead next turn, because they're gonna go to 8. And then I can hit them for exactly 8 next turn between equipping the Volshock Morningstar and the Lightning Bolt. So I should be able to win the game. My opponent's not returning Stinkweed Imp, which is pretty interesting. Alright, well, there's Cryptrats, so we're going to go ahead and deprive that, returning the island. Normally in that state, it doesn't matter here, but right there you'd want to return the mountain. You always want to keep as much blue in play as possible, so do keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and Lightning Bolt, and even if my opponent's Slaughter Pact, I still win the game. Go ahead and do that. And attack for 3, 4. Oh, for 6. Okay. I was like, why is my opponent at -1? Alright, so the cards to bring in here are Relic of Progenitus and Stormbound Geist. A lot of people have been playing Pillar of Flame now, specifically because of this guy, among other reasons, of course. So watch out for that. That is something to notice. So cards that my opponent could have here are like Nausea, Evankar's Justice. They could be playing red. They could be playing green, so they have like Aerial Volley or something, or Electrickery. What I am going to do though, I think is I'm going to take out the Dispel, because I don't think Dispel is going to be all that great. And then I think I want to chop down on the fairies. Because if my opponent is going to bring in things like Nausea, I can offset not having to counter that and counter better stuff by just having less 1/1s that I have to rely on. I'm going to leave the Volshock Morningstar in, and I'm not going to bring in the 4th Skred. I think that 7 spot removal spells should be more than enough. This is the type of crap that I'm talking about with this deck that's been doing to me. See, if this was an island, this would be a somewhat keep. The reason I say somewhat is because I just noticed there's 2 gushes, but we're going to mulligan. This hand's really good. We're going to put that on the bottom, because it's got 2 Fairy Miscreants, a Ninja, and the 1 Relic of Progenitus. So this is going to be pretty good. And a Delver now. So we're just going to go Delver. I don't really fear Duress. So I'm not going to... That sucks. I'm not going to go Relic just yet. Especially if I draw a 3rd land. It's probably... Well, I think I'll go Relic here, though, just to get it out. And we'll remove that card. And then we'll go Fairy Miscreant. I think here I'll probably just put the Relic out. Because I could go Miscreant, but then if my opponent has Nausea, I have fallen way behind. So that kind of sucks. Ponder. Okay, let's go ahead and Ponder first. You always kind of want to Ponder in spots like these just to make sure you know what's going on. This is okay. I'm going to keep one of the Evolving Wilds and get a 3rd island. So that next turn I can go Fairy Miscreant, leaving up Counterspell. Or if I draw another land, I can go Ninja the Deep Hours, leaving up Counterspell. The thing about this match is that the later the game goes, the more it's going to favor Torch Existence. While at the same time... yeah, you see things like that. While at the same time... I'll go ahead and remove that. You know, you don't kill them very quickly. So... That's a problem. Ash Barrens. Okay. We'll just go Fairy Miscreant here, and then we will cycle the Ash Barrens at the end of turn. Doing it right now doesn't really matter. Excuse me. And I'd rather, like, keep the Counterspell up and stuff like that. Alright. Cycle the Ash Barrens. Also, because I want to get a red with this. That's another reason I want to save it. I want to get the red. Okay, so... Opponent doesn't have much going on. Drew another Counterspell. It's pretty good. So now we're going to be able to protect this Ninja. So we'll go ahead and attack. And do this. One cool thing to note that a lot of people don't know. When you have 2 Ninjas, if your opponent lets you get to the ninjutsu phase and tries to kill it, this, I believe, is still technically an unblocked creature, so you could actually, theoretically, ninjutsu in response. So that's always something cool. Wow, opponent has nothing. Okay. They might just be a mostly sorcery speed removal-based deck. I am not going to cast anything. I'm going to hold up Depriving Counterspell. So, we'll see how that works out for us. So far, you see what the deck is doing, how good it is. I'm not going to bother hitting that. I hit 3 lands. Jeez. Alright. Got back the Forest. And we're going to go ahead and remove a card in the graveyard. Could have Fog, which is something. Let's go ahead and do that. Preordain. Yeah, let's go ahead and Preordain first. I can't double Counterspell anyway, so... Snow-covered island and Preordain. Okay. We'll keep both. Go ahead and play this island. I see no reason not to. Go ahead and attack. Opponent tries to kill it. We'll go ahead and deprive. Actually, you know what? It wasn't a bad play, but it was kind of just a little nitpicky thing. I should have waited because my opponent does cast a spell. I'm going to use the deprive anyway, so then I can replay the island, so it gives my opponent less information. So they milled a Stinkweed Imp, a Wild Mongrel, and a Tortured Existence, and they took back the land. Okay. I'm not going to... I'm going to let them dredge. I don't think that there's really a point in using the relic here just yet. And they're saying go. This is interesting. They do have Tortured Existence, I suppose. Okay. Spellstar Sprite. That's really good. So we'll go ahead and preordain first. See what I find. Another ninja and a snow-covered island. Okay. Well, we're going to keep both. And I'm going to draw the ninja. And attack. I don't know if... I don't think I want a ninja this turn, though. Discarding Arrogant Worm. Okay. I'm going to deprive that. Turn the mountain. And they're getting back Wild Mongrel. Okay. That's fine. So I guess I'm not ninjutsuing anyway, after all. Play the island and pass. If my opponent goes to use Torture Existence in response, yeah, I think now I want to pop the relic. Yeah, I think now I want to pop the relic. I think the longer I wait, the more my opponent's going to be able to take over. And I played the island there so that I can use Counterspell on more than a 2-drop. In retrospect, maybe I should have played the mountain to hold that up, but I don't think that's really going to make all that much of a difference. Alright, Crypt Rat times 2, sure. Ooh, Gush is good. Go ahead and play Stormbound Geist. So I'm going to just use 3 blue here. Because I can leave up Counterspell or Spellstar Sprite plus Skred. So my opponent can keep reusing Crypt Rats over and over if they want, but luckily I can deal with that for now. Stinkweed it. Oh, that resolves. And a Fairy Macabre. Sure. Question is, do I want to Gush here? I don't think I need to. So I'm just going to Skred the Fairy Macabre. I don't really think it matters which one. But I guess just in case? Not sure. Opponent's probably going to block here anyway. Another... Okay. I'm going to attack first, because if my opponent doesn't block, I'm going to put the ninja into play. And then I think I'm going to Gush afterwards. Yeah, I was pretty sure they were going to block there. Okay, so my guy's going to die. It's going to come back to 3/3 unless they have a second Fairy Macabre. They... Oh, okay, so they're gonna leave their hand with nothing so that they can remove my Stormbound guys. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. That was going to happen no matter what. So let's go ahead and I guess Gush here, since we don't really need that much mana in play currently. See what I get, maybe an Augur of Bolus or something. Ash Barrens and a Lightning Bolt. Well, Lightning Bolt's pretty good. Alright, so let's go ahead and cycle this Ash Barrens. And I'm still just going to get another island. I don't really see the reason to get a second mountain. Play the island and pass. So now what I can do is I can counter anything my opponent gets. I can Lightning Bolt anything my opponent gets. And then I can play Spellstar Sprite and Ninja. Okay, they dredge to get back Stinkweed Imp. They're going to get back Crypt Rats. I'm just going to Lightning Bolt that at the end of turn. Because if they want to shoot me for 3, that's fine, because they also take 3. Go ahead and Lightning Bolt. Play Spellstar Sprite. Ooh, a Morning Star. Sweet. That's going to end the game quickly, hopefully. Go ahead and attack. Gonna use 2 blue here, in case I draw a red source. I mean, not red source, a red spell. Go ahead and attack. 2, draw a card. Yep. A land. Well, doesn't really do much. Alright, let's go do this. And pass turn. Are they going to dredge again is the question. They are. Ooh, they got a Grave Scrabbler. That's not great for me. Oh, they're just saying go? Oh, because they can just get back Grave Scrabbler and then discard a card? Sure. I'm just going to play out the Spell Source Sprite so I can start attacking in the air. It's not going to counter anything, so I'd rather just have it in play attacking. Another Evolving Wilds, huh? Okay. Just going to play this out and thin our deck. And then equip here. Because I can just counter this guy. So it doesn't really make a difference. But I am going to need to draw some stuff here. So we're going to attack. Opponent's going to get back Grave Scrabbler. And I think it has to actually resolve. Alright, I'm going to counter it. Because I think what's going to happen is they still... Yeah, they'd have to pay 1... Oh, hold on. Somebody was screaming about something outside. So, I think they got back Stinkweed Imp. Yeah, so I get to draw a card now. And they go to 4. Yes. Ooh, an Augur Bolus. Okay. And a Preordain. Well, putting these 2 cards to the bottom kind of suck, but... So... Dredge. Nothing that gains them life. Which is good. Okay, so there's Crypt Rats. So I can do it for 3 and they'll go to 1. And all I have to do is find a Lightning Bolt now. Which... I have 3 left in the deck, so... Okay. Let's go ahead and Evolving Wilds first. Because whatever cards I may push to the bottom, I want them to stay there. So. Counterspell and Ponder. Okay, well we're going to keep both on top, but I'm going to Ponder first. See if I see a Gush or something. Counterspell, Ash Barrens. Okay. Nope. Alright, so... This is going to be a little difficult. My opponent can never Crypt Rats again. The way that it goes right now. Oh, but there's Gnaw to the Bone. Yeah, this is going to be difficult now. I have to counter Gnaw to the Bone. And now my opponent's going to get to gain pretty much almost infinite card advantage. Oh, but they're not casting anything. Okay, let's go with Spell Stutter. And they only have 1 Gnaw to the Bone. Okay, I'm going to counter Gnaw to the Bone. There's no other Gnaw to the Bone, and I'm drawing Counterspell. I actually don't know what's in their hand. Probably should have kept my eye on that one. think I win. I do. Okay. So, so game 1, my opponent had a bad draw. But my deck did exactly what it was supposed to do. And you saw the power level of it. You saw the type of draws it could have. You saw just how it can handle everything every turn while also attacking. You saw how good Lightning Bolt and Skred could be. You saw... Well, Bone Splitter could have done the same thing, but still. However, in Game 2, you kind of saw how you could start off with an Ash Barrens or an Evolving Wilds, which kind of sucks, but you get through it. And the one Relic of Progenitus just kept him on the backswing. It made him... Basically, I also recognize my opponent's name. I've seen them in the old school like daily lists and stuff. I think from the archives from me looking at MTG Goldfish, and I think I've seen him 5-0 quite a bit. The Armadillo, or at least the name just seems familiar to me. I probably just saw his name a bunch of times as 5-0s or something. I know I've seen it on Goldfish a bunch. Anyway, so I know my opponent's a good player. Basically, what this relic did was it made my opponent play in such a certain way that I was able to set up a whole game plan, keep chipping away at my opponent, like that guy said, and, you know, eventually just set up to where I could dictate what my opponent would possibly do. I did get lucky that my opponent didn't get Gnaw to the Bone until later on in the game, or never saw a Spore Frog if they had it. But, again, luck is part of Magic. So, the big thing... in that particular matchup, or what happened was, my opponent had to go to 1 with because I had a Volshock Morningstar on the Spellstorm Sprite. So instead of only doing it for 2, they had to do it for 3. Now, what would have been correct was actually equipping it, I think, to the Ninja to make it a 4/4 so that my opponent couldn't Crypt Rats as an out. But what I was thinking was, I can handle a Stinkweed Imp, and I think putting it on the flyer was better because my opponent only has Stinkweed Imps to block as a flyer. In retrospect, maybe that wasn't correct, but I'm not exactly sure. It's kind of a weird line. I did get very, very lucky to have the Relic of Progenitus in my opening hand. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem admitting that. I think otherwise that matchup is kind of 50-50. It really just depends on how prepared you are in your sideboard. But at the end of the day, I won, so... But it's not over. We still have one more match to go to see how this deck really ticks. So I'll be back in a little while. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.